What's up, Black Knight Nation? Welcome into another episode of the Armory. I am your host, John Sheps. You could find me on the Twitter at Coach Sheps, and I am a member of the Toilets to Titles podcast network. I'm here for episode number 14. This week, Army's going to be facing Troy. We're going to be facing them at home October 14th, 3:30 p.m. Army's going into this game 2-3. Troy is coming into this game 4-2. I want to briefly touch on the matchup with Boston College. To be honest, this is one of the toughest episodes I've done since covering Army football, because I truly feel this was a pivotal game for Army. Boston College, big name opponent, pretty talented. And this was a matchup I feel Army could have won. And I feel like the conditions kind of suited Army football. You know, it was sloppy, was going to cause run heavy game. And I expected Boston College to fold under these circumstances. And I'm not saying Army folded. I'm just saying I'm surprised we caved in a way we did with the penalties and allowing as many rushing yards as we did. So it's a tough pill to swallow. It was an important game at this time in the year for this program. But we move on, and before we move on, we just want to recap and just assess where we are so that we can kind of change where we are headed. All right. And I'm not in any way panicking or, I'm not trying to bring anything negative. I'm just letting you know as a fan and as somebody who watched the game, I wasn't expecting the weather to affect us like it did. And we could have won this ball game hands down. And we should have, we had that first down, unfortunate that forward pass, that kind of no one play changes the outcome or controls the outcome of the game. It's a series of plays. So that one play didn't lose us the game. We shouldn't have been in that position to lose that game to begin with. It was just unfortunate at that point. That play was major. All right, let's talk about time of possession, or rather let's talk about keys to the game. Going into this game, I had some keys to the matchup that I felt if we took care of these keys to the game, we'd have won this. And first one being time of possession. Well, we held the ball for 26 minutes, Boston College for 34. Role reversal. Usually we're the team leading time of possession. Boston College led time of possession. Boston College had 66 rushes to our 33. Again, role reversal. Don't chase. That was a key to the game for me. Army was held to only 3 points in the first half. We went into the half down 13-3. So we were chasing from the jump and prevent the big plays, 15-plus yard plays, which have been kind of killing us this season. The first touchdown by Castellanos was a 20-yard run. He almost had another one if he didn't run into that referee. Pat Garwo, 14 carries, 111 yards, averaging nearly 8 yards per carry with the long run of 50 yards. So we did not prevent the big play. The big play was a theme. Again, it was rainy. I thought it would benefit Army. We came into this game with an FBS low 9 penalties. Army, that is, committed 6 in this one. The Black Knights scored touchdowns in their first 3 drives of the second half. That forward pass kind of killed us. We were rolling. Castellanos accounted for 215 total yards, 73 passing, 142 rushing, 4 total touchdowns, which was huge. He's the first Boston College quarterback to ever run for 4 touchdowns in a game. That says something. Bryson Daly, 99 yards rushing, 1 passing touchdown. I did like in the second half how we were working the pass into our game plan. It was working, even without Isaiah Alston, which is unfortunate that he didn't play in the ball game because he could have made a difference. And the 27-24 loss, last minute TD by Castellanos on that final drive. Boston College put us away when things kind of started to feel like they were going in our direction. But to note, Tyrell Robinson made his season debut, which is awesome. First came back since October 8th against Wake Forest. He went 7 for 31 with a 10-yard rushing touchdown in the third. So look for Tyrell Robinson to get more touches going forward. Very exciting. Happy to have him back. Quindrell and Hammonds continue to dominate on defense. Leo Lowen continued to play well. They both combined for 22 total tackles. And 6 different receivers caught a ball in this game. The team leader was Casey Reynolds, 2 receptions for 37 yards. So Bryson, Daly, in Monken. They are in Thatcher. They're spreading the ball around this offense. So I'd like to see, some receivers get a little more involved. I'd hope to see Isaiah Alston back. I want to see Noah Short get a few more shots. And I know it's hard to take shots in a game like this where it was wet, but some promising things, some discouraging things, but ultimately move on. Another home game against an opponent, Troy. Okay, they're 4-2. They're number one in the Sun Belt West. Their only two losses coming against Kansas State. They lost 42-13. And James Madison, where they lost 16-14. But they've outscored their previous two opponents by a combined 55 points. So Troy, it's no joke. They're on a winning streak, and they're going to be bringing it. They're going to be bringing a run-heavy offense to Mikey Stadium, and we're going to have our hands full against this opponent. But it's a game we can win, and we need to get back to 500. And then start stacking wins. And no better way to do it than to shut Troy down. Key players, Kamani Vidal, running back, 5'8", 215 pounds, as a sophomore. So last year in 2022, he was named to All Sun Belt second team. He became just the 11th 1,000-yard rusher in Troy program history. So coming into the year, that was big. He's coming off a 28-carry, 245-yard, 3-touchdown performance. All right, he had 8.8 yards per carry. Pretty impressive. Kamani Vidal, we're going to have our hands full, shutting him down. 841 rushing yards, 487 of those have come after contact. So last year, he was only the 11th player to ever rush for 1,000 yards at Troy. He's going to do it back-to-back, and he might do it by halfway through the season. Already at 841 rushing yards, 6 games in. His 487 yards after contact leads the nation. D1, big name backs, you name them, he's got more yards after contact after them. One of the key to the game, I didn't put it on the keys to the game list, but I'm thinking of it now. Hit, wrap, secure the tackle, rally to the football. All right, first guy hit and wrap. Second guy needs to, we can't be standing around holding our hands when the first defender gets to the ball. And that's not Army's MO. So I'm not saying we do that. But it is going to be pursuit. Pursuit is going to be a huge key to this game. Next big player for Troy, Del Pettis. He's a safety, 6 foot, 205 pounds. I'm going to tell you, Del is going to be playing on Sundays starting next season. He is a physical presence. You come across the middle, you better be ready for contact because he is going to bring it. Every now and then he's going to get the occasional penalty because he is going to hit you hard, and we'll see that. So you might see that in this ball game. But Del Pettis, 28 total tackles. He surpassed 3,000 career snaps last week. Only one of 4 active players in the country to accomplish that. So he is a seasoned veteran. They have a veteran presence in the back of their secondary, holding it down, locking it down. So I think that kind of makes everybody ahead of him a little bit better when you got a guy like that covering your back. All right, he's allowed 96 yards while in coverage this season. His 86.8 PFF coverage grade is 11th in the nation. All right, so not only is he a physical presence, tackle, going to bring you to the ground, going to make you feel it, but he's also decent in coverage. I'd say above decent. Okay, so Del Pettis, ball player on the defense. They have another ball player on the defense, Javon Solomon, edge defender, 6'1", 250 pounds. And I've been hearing about him from Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl. I'm a big fan of what Jim does down there in Mobile, Alabama. I was out there last year, and he knows how to find gems. Javon Solomon might be one of those gems. Per Jim Nagy, he's a tweener type. He fits old school Steelers 3-4 outside linebacker mold, but Jim thinks he could develop as a stand-up linebacker at the next level, stout enough to hold up when Troy uses him as a 3 and 5 technique, and he's an active rusher. So he's a dude. He's being played kind of everywhere along the defensive line, but he's got edge ability, and he's got burst. He can dip, get around the corner. So when we get into passing situations, straight drop back situations where we don't get into much of those, be aware of Javon Solomon getting to the quarterback. Another key player, they got 2 wide receivers of note. Jabri Barber, wide receiver, 5'10", 174 pounds. He's just an explosive playmaker. He's averaging 12.7 yards per carry. So another thing, contain, force him back inside. Don't let him get to the edge. If you let Barber get to the edge, it's going to be a problem, especially on those screens. So he's going to be somebody we're going to have to watch. And then Deshaun Stoudemire, wide receiver, He had a quiet first 2 games. He's seen 27 targets over the last 4 games. So he's starting to come on strong. He's got 289 receiving yards over the last 4 games. So Barber, Stoudemire, I'm not saying they're the best wide receiver tandem we've seen this season, but they're very solid duo. And I believe our corners, which is probably one of the major bright spots, more, Nicholas Paul, our defensive backs, very strong. So I believe we'll be able to hold and limit Barber and Stoudemire, but, just 2 wide receivers of note. Now, on to the keys to the game in a very important pivotal matchup. We are 1 game away from righting the ship, getting back to 500. We need to be on task. Limit penalties. Get back to Army football. Get back to making the right decisions, making the right plays, and not making mistakes. 9 penalties total going into the Boston College matchup, over half. So 6 in that matchup. That is so out of the ordinary. That is not who the Army Black Knights are. Limit penalties. Get back on track. We can't afford, and the way we run our offense, kind of 4 or 5 yards a clip, we cannot afford to shoot ourselves in the foot and go back 5, 10, 15 yards. Those are drive killers. We don't run an offense where we're getting 20 yards, 25 yards, chunk plays. I mean, here and there it happens, but it's not consistent enough to be able to get penalties and survive. Okay? Next thing, we need to stop the run. We need to stop the run. We gave up 317 yards on the ground to Boston College. We have a running back in Kamani Vidal coming into this one off of 245-yard, 3-touchdown performance, 8.8 yards per carry. We need to contain him. We need to stop the run. We cannot let him run all over us, because then we are going to be doing what? We are going to be chasing. We cannot afford to play from behind. Contain the run, make them throw, and let our corners feast, because our corners, they know how to get the football. They know how to attack the football, and they can lock down. So we need to stop the run, force Troy into passing situations. The final key to the game, to me, is finish our drives. We have long, sustained drives. We need to finish with touchdowns. We need to get into the end zone. Our 4th down conversion rate has been solid. Our 3rd down conversion rate, not so good last week, but we need to be converting those 3rd downs. We need to be getting into the red zone. And when we get to the red zone, we need to get into the end zone. Our field goal kicker has been lights out. I don't want to see the field goal kicker this week. I want to see extra points. I want to see the field goal kicker on the field for extra points. We need to finish drives in the end zone. So I'm telling you, if we limit penalties, if we stop the run, and if we finish our drives in the end zone, Army football wins this ball game, gets to 3-3, rights the ship, gets back on track, and then Boston College will be in the rearview mirror. Okay? Move forward, win this ball game, back on track. I appreciate you for checking this out. Again, I am John Sheps. You can find me on the Twitter at Coach Sheps. If you enjoy the Armory, if you enjoy this content, it'd be greatly appreciated if you like the show on YouTube. Click the like button, throw us a comment, subscribe. If any of you out there enjoy fantasy football, enjoy the NFL draft, you definitely want to be subscribed to this YouTube channel, because we have all of that covered for you. Toiletstitles.com. That is where we have all our NFL draft player profiles, fantasy football content, anything you're looking for NFL related, we have you covered. And again, appreciate you all for tuning in. Good luck. Go Army. Let's get this dub. Let's get to 500. Let's get back on track. Take care.